and it usually takes a minute. So there we go. There we go. We are good. We are here. We are going to see how long it takes for it to come onto my page, though. Oh, and it always takes a few minutes. Lunchtime isn't always the best time. But it'll be played later, so that's a good thing. That is a good thing. So, there we go. It is on and live. Yay. So, I am here today with Kevin Jackson. We met about 5 years ago now, I think. It was that very first fair, kind of. I was just starting to do my woodworking, and I remember we did it. It was a hotel here on Highway 16. It's changed names now a couple of times, so I can't remember what it was back there. But yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a while. It's been a while. So Kevin is going to talk to us about Akashic Records today. He is a practitioner, and he's also an educator. And is there anything else in that list? An instructor. So yeah, I've taken the Akashic Records course actually a couple times, a couple of different ones, and it's very interesting, and it's different than any of the other stuff that I do. So I'm not very well versed in it, even though I have done all my practical hours. I find that the energy is just a lot different than what I normally work with.
Yeah, it's more, well, the Akashic Records, let's start at the beginning, I guess. What are the Akashic Records? They are the vibrational archive of your soul, right? Mm-hmm. So the Akashic Records are connected in with, we describe it as the connective tissue between your soul and the divine. That runs up there. Okay. And it holds everything that our soul has went through since the beginning of our conception, our separation. So all our past lives are recorded within there, as well as it's almost like entwined into the fabric of the Akashic Records is our soul's potential and our blueprint of what our soul is about. Mm-hmm. So it's a space where we can go and learn what's going on with our life, what's triggering us, how can we move forward in a more peaceful way. Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like connecting into that subconscious. Like it's the what we know that we don't know. Like why are we doing this when we can't figure it out consciously why we're doing something? So is it kind of like where we can get some of those answers?
Yeah. What is triggering us? What is why am I having fears that I shouldn't be normally having? How come I am having anxiety? Anxiety. It's interesting. Anxiety is actually a fear of not trusting yourself.
Oh, good to know.
Right? So, I'm scared. I'm scared of what's going on because I'm out of control and I don't know.
Yes.
And that fear is, we always think of fear as a negative expression, but actually it's positive because fear is protective.
Yes.
When we're scared of something, we're protecting ourselves, so we are actually extending self-love to ourselves because of it, right? Yes. So we're protecting ourselves. And the Akashic Records are vibrational, for one thing. It's a vibrational archive of our soul. So it's not a place where we can go. It's a vibrational archive, and it's like all around us, right? It is there, just beyond. And to connect in with the Akashic Records, it is a shift in consciousness.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, too, the Akashic Records are not psychic. We being psychic, you go out and beyond. And within the Akashic Records, it's spiritual, so we go within. It's a spiritual base, so you go within. And everybody has an opportunity to connect with the Akashic Records, but they do not know how to, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's not ready for it, right? It's when we are in that moment in time where we need it, and we're ready to move forward, then all of a sudden, we'll have the opportunity. And there is, an abundance of ways of connecting in with the Akashic Records. Now, a lot of what is out there on the internet is not really, you're not connecting them with the Akashic Records. It has nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Because the Akashic Records are connected in with your human consciousness. And it is what is going on in your human life, not what's going on in your starseed life and other dimensions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not helpful. On a spiritual level, it's not helpful to know, who you were in Lemuria.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's
has no relevance.
Yeah. So the Akashic Records is all about helping you move through at this point in time in your life more easily and gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good way to put it. And
with a stronger understanding too of the whole picture.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's going on in the background of your life and what's triggering these here things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not magical. We don't go in there with no magic wands or anything like that where we can go poof, and everything is all good. But what it is when we access the Akashic Records, and I access the Akashic Records through Linda Howe's pathway prayer process through the heart of the Akashic Records, and it's a sacred prayer that I say that shifts the consciousness into your Akashic Records. It's very deliberate, consciously. And so I make sure that I'm in your Akashic Records, not in someone else's, and because it's a sacred space, then, we there's a relevance to it, right? But we go into the Akashic Records and we look at, okay, where do we need to look at to move you forward in a more graceful place? And then, why was that beneficial for you?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because we don't take on anything that is not good for us.
That's right. Even if after some time it's no longer good for us.
Exactly.
Like if we put up, like for me and myself, I would have put up a barrier against specific things, but now that I've healed and grown, those barriers no longer serve me, so it's just a matter of understanding.
They work against you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And it's like there's a life cycle to everything, including our lives, right? And that goes into what our patterns, our limiting patterns, our ancestral patterns, our even our fears and our goals have a life cycle to them. So, when it was a good idea. And you can see this, people that went through the Depression, is very relevant. They struggled, they know what it's like to have absolutely no food. And I can remember stories from my great-grandparents where the one daughter actually went out and got a job, and her first paycheck she bought onions for her mom to cook with, because she was craving some flavor in her food.
Yeah.
Right? And can you imagine, the desperation of, to buy an onion for your mom?
Yeah. And the glory. Yeah. And the glory to be able to do so, right? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then you see, it was extremely important to have a big garden. You'd have a big garden, and you would fill as much as your pantry as you could possibly fill when you had the food. because you knew that there could be a moment in time when it comes where you have nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden, that same pattern is passed on to your children.
Yes, because we know that there's scientifically proven that generational stuff, like trauma or even just behaviors and traits.
It's passed through. And it's a natural reaction because it was such a good idea because it saved the family. Mm-hmm. So these here all come through and it's passed on and on and on. And so what we do is we go into the Akashic Records and we find out, okay, you're having a problem with, you have two great big chest freezers full of vegetables that you couldn't possibly eat in a whole lifetime. And you have a need, there's a strong need to plant that huge garden and to continually make it more. And it's very wasteful and it's an issue. It's taking up your time. So we go in there and we ask, why was it so important for you to do this? And you find out where you went through, in a past life, or your family had went through this here through a past life, where it was so important that you had an abundance of food. And we go, well, of course you did that. Mm-hmm. And you can extend self-love and acceptance to yourself, of course. So it's changed this perspective of why you're doing it. And now instead of being a negative thing, it was a positive thing. Mm-hmm. It's not helping you right now, but it still was a good thing. By taking and shifting that perspective, and it's almost like we shine the Akashic light onto that their perspective, it transforms it into an act of love, and it takes the negative energy of it.
Yes.
So it no longer has any value, and you can go, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. I don't have that need.
Yeah.
And even when you do feel that, you can go, of course I'm doing that. I feel that way because that's the only way I could survive. I want the survival of my family. So I'm extending self-love to myself, and it takes the energy off.
Yeah, so it brings it from that unknown consciousness somewhere, like that unknown energy, and brings it forefront, so you could be like facing it head on, literally facing it and going, I actually don't need this anymore, and then you can release that energy out.
And you don't even have to. It doesn't even have to be I don't need it anymore. It's just I can extend self-love to myself because I have it, because that was the most loving thing I could do.
Yeah, at the time.
Right? And just by having that acceptance, it takes the energy off. Mm-hmm. We don't have to do nothing. We just have to have the acceptance. Mm-hmm. And the light will do its work. Right? We allow.
Yeah.
I was going
to say, actually, this conversation actually helped me understand more what we were doing the Akashic Records and that persona of it, as opposed to when I was actually doing the courses, and it was like, I don't understand how that, like there was things that I felt like I just didn't quite have it, and this actually clarifies it all, because it was like, oh, now I get it, because at some point in time, everything was a good idea.
It was.
Regardless if it's our good idea or somebody else's good idea.
Yeah, and even like the people that we feel are doing horrific things. Mm-hmm. We can look at and they have to be terribly desperate to do some of the things that they do. Like some of these here people that are doing these shootings, mass murders, and creating wars and all the rest of that. Like, can you imagine how badly Hitler felt about himself to do the things that he had to do? Now we're not excusing what he did.
No, but
that was his best idea,
drive.
And that drive was that he had that drive to that was the only way he could extend self-love to himself.
Yeah.
Was it a good idea? No.
Yeah.
We won't give him that, but everything that we do is like that. That's the best idea that we had, and that's the only that's the only option. We didn't have a better option to do.
Yes.
So we can extend that to them, and then it takes the energy off it, right?
Yeah.
And that goes with, like within the Akashic Records, we look at, there's a lot of self, soul's path work, and where we're going, and what is my life purpose? One of I don't know, I get quite a few questions. Probably one of the, the top 10 questions is, what is my soul's path? I feel that I'm not on my soul's path. What's going on here? And it's really, for one thing, we're always on our soul's path. Energetically, it's impossible for us to go off our soul's path.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask her to kind of make that same statement of, but even if it looks horrible right now, we're still on our soul's path, because there's still something that we need to do for ourselves to make everything better for ourselves.
Yeah.
In a way, right? No matter how minute or how big.
Yeah, exactly. And when we come into this human existence in this moment in time, in this incarnation, we are given a pot of possibilities and probabilities, right? And you're not going to go off that. Whatever line you happen to, or whatever path you happen to take, whether it could be in a medical field or a spiritual field or like anything, there's a purpose for you doing that. You wouldn't do it unless there was a need for you to do it and there was something for you to learn.
If there wasn't something inside of you pushing you into that.
Yeah. So you're going to learn something. And it doesn't matter, even if you feel that, okay, now it's the time to change, and you have to backspace yourself and redirect where you're going, that's okay. Like, you're not going to be struck and say, oh no, you're a horrible person because, you messed up your whole soul's life, so now, you're going to be whipped for it when you...
Yeah, when you're done. Yeah.
No, it's... The Akashic Records is divine love. It's an extremely loving space. So they're going, of course you did that. That was your best idea. If you had a better idea, you would have did it. So, what is my soul's path? And so many people come and they say, I really feel that I'm supposed to be out there helping people. I'm supposed to be healing people. I'm a healer and stuff like that. And I was actually thinking about this morning about... when I first started, got into the workforce, there was, I felt that I was supposed to go into a ministry. I was going to be a minister. And I go to school, and I go to theology school and stuff like that, and it was a total disaster. I am not cut out to be in school. Yeah. The way they teach just does not resonate with me. And I was scared to death of people. Oh. It was like, I didn't realize that I'd have to get up in front of people that I didn't know and talk.
Oh, okay.
That was another horror. And so then I drop out of that and I get into baking. And over the years, I baked for something like 30 years. And the people that I touched in baking, and going back, and I have people even coming up to me today say, because I managed the bakeries and stuff, and they said, when I knew you like 20-some years ago, and I don't have a clue who they are, embarrassingly, but they'll say, you made such an impression on my life. You changed the direction of my life. And I actually even had one fellow, he came and he sought me out and came by the house and he said, and I was hard on him. He was a young guy and he didn't show up for work and stuff like that. And he says, you said to me, I'm the only one that I can change my life. Yeah. And he says, and I want you to know that I actually listened to you. And I can't remember, he went on to college and he's got a family and all of that. And a very successful man. And it was because, just me being who I am. Yeah. Now, after a while, I'm feeling, okay, well, now I'm supposed to be a healer and I'm supposed to help people and stuff like that and, on a spiritual level. And all of a sudden I'm realizing I was doing that in the baking field already. I didn't change my career, I just changed the perception of what I was doing. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and I actually noticed that for myself when even with the last QC job that I went to, because in my head I have it, this is what I want to do because I need to heal people, I need to heal them spiritually,
And we lose sight of the fact that we need to be where we're at in order to touch the people that are around us, because we're still going to have those words of wisdom that they need.
Yeah.
There was a couple of people that I made really great connections with when I was working there. And one of them in particular, I actually did do some energy moving and whatnot with her. But the other people, sometimes it was just having the music playing in our trailer was enough for that next person to come in and go, oh, this place just makes my heart happy. You know, like something that small, that is a healing. Being able to change somebody else's perspective from either the woe is me or down on themselves or kind of icky about themselves and then into the positive, that is a healing, regardless of the scale that it's on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And there's a purpose for us, you know, even though, you know, we may not feel like we're touching people, but we are, you know. And that's a continuous thing that, you know, people consistently come and they're going, okay, you know, I need to change my career. What metaphysical field do I need to be looking at? And it's like, you don't have to look at it, you know, what do you love to do? Right? Your soul's path is defined on what you like to do.
Yes. Because that passion is put in you in order for you to be put into that field, in order to be placed in front of those people in order to talk to them.
Yeah. And the people that you can help are going to be attracted to you because there's a vibrational connection.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the world is an amazing place, right? There's so much out there that is so vibrant and energetically connected, and if you start focusing on the love and searching out the love within as a light worker, you start looking at okay, well, where is that divine spark within that person? Where is that divine spark into that situation? What is that helpful for? Then all of a sudden, it starts to amplify. And you can recognize, you know, I actually had a part of that. That's it's amazing.
It is. Even something as simple as taking a walk with a person, and if they have a situation they're talking about that they just need to voice, and it might not be a positive experience or life event that they're going through, but even in that walk, if you can bring their focus up and go, oh, look at these flowers, or, you know, bringing that attention into their surroundings with something that's good can also help with that negative thing that they're going through at the time, or that hard to figure out situation. When I was in my 20s, I always used to say everything is positive in the end. If it's not positive, you're not at the end.
And it's and just because you can't see the positiveness in it, the positive attributes of it, doesn't mean that it's not.
Exactly, because it's still there. It's just, you know, sometimes time needs to carry on a little bit before we can see it, or something else needs to happen in that moment, or to that event, and then it'll switch it around.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how did you get into Akashic Records itself?
I just kind of stumbled into them. It was there was a class in Edmonton, and it was suggested that I take this class, and I thought, that sounds like the most boring, unproductive modality I've ever heard. You know, I wanted, because I was just getting into spirituality and you know, psychic connections, and really looking at myself, and I really wanted to have, you know, this gift of being able to be clairvoyant and seeing into the future, and you know, hearing loved ones that have passed over and all the rest of that.
Yeah, just wanted to be in the bang of it all.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the bang of it all. I didn't want some subtle loving energy. No. So I go to this class. I actually went to the class, and I opened up the records, and I started to learn, And it was the class with that was teaching the pathway per process, Linda Hall's pathway per process. And opening up the records, there was this unconditional divine love that just emanated out of this space. And it just kind of filled me up, and it was like, wow, how this is something that, for one thing, I've been searching for a very long time, basically my whole life. And there it was in this here very mundane little modality.
Yeah, so there was your bang.
There was my bang. And I didn't think I was very good at it. I always had a lot of self-doubt and suffer with self-confidence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I stuck with it. I took the courses, and I took like the practitioner course and the advanced practitioner. And it was all taught a little bit different. And that was in 2013. I started that. And as I'm getting deeper into it, I felt that I needed to go deeper within myself. So then I started, and I took, there's 5 core courses within Linda Hall's organization. So I had taken all 5 core courses, and I thought, I should go and take the teaching training. And at that time, it was like a year-long process where there was a whole bunch of podcasts and stuff like that, and you had to go to Chicago.
Nice.
I had to go to Chicago for a week. And once again, like I wasn't thinking when I decided to delve into this, and I actually paid for the course, and then I realized, okay, well now I'm going to have to book a flight to Chicago. I didn't even know how to. I didn't know how to book a flight or nothing.
Yeah.
And to get onto a plane all by myself was
for the first time.
For the first time, and but I did it. I got to, and it was actually. I found it was through the Akashic Records. It was all the steps I needed to take. It was what was the next step? I took the next step. I didn't. I certainly, if I would have thought about what was going to be the end result, and now I'm the leading expert in Canada for the pathway prayer process.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm the highest level of all, and there's actually only a handful of us that are Premier Elite certified instructors, and I contributed fully to the Akashic Records, moving me to the next step, one step at a time. I teach all over the world.
Yes.
Internationally.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. I have students. I get to talk to people. Even in Romania, there's one lady I talked to that's taking courses, so I get to hear a little bit about the energetic structure down there right now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, there's and China, Spain, Ireland, like all over the place. It's amazing. Like it's mind-boggling. And the same with my readings. I do readings all over the world.
That is the most amazing part to me. I think that is that's a pat on the back for yourself to go from, this is a silly mundane course, to, I'm now talking to everybody all over the world, and I teach them how to do my thing.
And how to better themselves, how to have more confidence within themselves, and how to really look at themselves and move forward in a way that is positive and life-changing, right?
Yes.
And the biggest thing that I've noticed is it doesn't matter whether you are in Spain, China, Portugal, France. We all have, or right here in Lloydminster.
Yeah.
We all have the same basic issues.
Interesting.
Yeah. It all comes down to what's going on within my innermost self.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It's all of that internalized problems, the internalized issues that we're struggling with and dealing with, and then therefore it's stunting our external life.
Exactly. Yeah. And we all have self-abandonment issues.
Yeah.
Everybody. It is a part of life, and how we obtain that, is totally different. Like everybody has their own experiences, and some people it's like, the experiences that they went through to get to that point is like, I can't believe that. I've never been able to live through that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if they had to go through my experiences, then they wouldn't be able to live through that either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's or you feel like you could.
Yes.
But it's all relevant, and then and that's with the process. The courses that we teach, there's 5 core courses that we're teaching, and that's what it leads to. The first 2 courses is practitioner and the advanced practitioner, and that's all about how to get into the Akashic Records. And, personally, I find them a little bit mundane.
Those are the ones I've taken.
It's like, and I've taught them like all over Canada, and in person. I was traveling before COVID.
Yeah.
But so then you find out how to get into the Akashic Records, and then the next 3 courses are all about the healing through the Akashic Records.
Yeah.
What's going on? Self-abandonment, self-resentment. Having people, how we're interacting with people and they interacted with us, and what is the right word? The things that they have done to us, and not only in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes as well. That all is relevant into how we interact with the world.
Yes, because that leaves kind of like an energetic imprint.
Yeah.
Right, like this past life stuff coming into this lifetime,
and even ancestral patterns.
Yeah.
What our ancestors went through has a huge effect on how we interact with the world.
Mm-hmm.
So we go in and so the healing course, we start looking at all that there, and we look at the Ascension Matrix, where you can step into the Ascension Matrix and move above and beyond any sacred wounds. And the next course is Discover Your Soul's Path. I love this one.
Mm-hmm.
It deals with, okay, now that I'm a spiritual being, how do I start to get out into the world? And there's basically 5 pillars that we view the world through. Mm-hmm. And one is incarnation, responsibility, authority. Now I'm going to forget what they are. Responsibility, authority. They just threw it
yeah, they just threw it. And I was thinking, I took that course with you too, and I don't even remember.
Commitment and responsibility. Yeah, that's the 5.
Okay.
So, if with authority, if you have a bad outlook on authority, then you will not allow yourself to be an authoritarian.
Yes.
Right, because it's bad. So we're not going to allow ourselves to have something bad. So we start looking and we start clearing stuff and looking at, okay, well, what makes me, what is a positive experience? We've had all kinds of lifetimes where we've had really good experiences with authorities. So what are some of them, and why do I have this bad idea?
Yeah.
So that we do some really deep work in looking at that. And then the last course is manifesting your soul's destiny.
Oh, okay.
And we start looking at, okay, well, now that I've cleared 9 nights, you get out into the world. Now what?
Yeah, how can we make it lead instead of...
Yeah, and my idea, we have the idea that, when I become spiritual and I'm going to get to that place, I'm going to be able to sit and, the world is going to be a wonderful place and I don't have to do nothing.
No.
And as, anybody that has experienced, any kind of spiritual growth, they soon find out that that's a pipe dream. That's not going to happen because we're evolving.
Or that they're untouchable by anything negative, and like any heartbreak or or upset or blockage in their lives that,
yeah. It's and being spiritual is not the magical wand that we perceive or we think that it's going to be. Being spiritual actually just enables us to make sense of what's going on. So it's not going to, it doesn't make it so we don't have to go through the storms. It just it makes it so that we can understand what the storms are all about.
And have less negative impact because of it as well. Yeah,
of course. You can extend self-love to yourself.
And be like, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
I can love you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I can, even though I'm scared to death to get on that airplane, I can love myself enough to get on there and to move forward.
Love yourself through it.
And to showing that. So there's a whole whack of, the Akashic Records. I love them now. I have, I did a little bit of dabbling with other things, but more personal curiosity.
Yeah.
Right, and like I love crystals and all things crystals, so I kind of dabble in that. But my main thing, the only thing that I really do to really help people is the Akashic Records.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
And I like that. I like that it is such an internal one where it's like that consciousness understanding, and I love that. Just to love yourself through it. Anyways, like you can get on the plane, even though you're scared, you can get on the plane, but you love yourself enough to get on the plane.
Yeah, and it's okay. It's okay to have that fear. When you have an acceptance, of course I have a fear of flying.
Yeah.
Some of it I believe would probably be an ancestral pattern.
Yes.
Like you fall out of the sky a few times, and pretty soon it's a good idea not to get on.
Yeah.
To go up too high.
Or right? even as you were saying that, like I had the picture in my mind where it was like, because when flying was just new, it was scary for everybody because it was the unknown and it was the change, and even our ancestors had resistance to change.
Yeah.
So like it still would have been embedded that stay away from that thing because I don't like it, right? So that could have been like a ancestral thing that followed through.
And you can go into the Akashic Records and discover, okay, well, why? What exactly? Where is that pinpoint? It was kind of interesting actually on the way down here. There's a rancher out coming up the hill, and there's a whole group of people there, all kinds of trailers in there, and they have corrals there, and all the cattle were there. And I'm going, they're doing a trail ride or something there, because there's always horses. Yeah. And as I'm going by, I see that they have this here fire going in the thing, and they're branding the cattle.
Oh, okay.
Immediately going by there, and like I was raised on a farm, I know what branding was all about. I had nothing to do with it. It was like, no, I can't handle that. Yeah. But immediately as I'm driving by, my arm starts aching.
Oh, okay.
And it's all. And the realization, I've been branded.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's an ancestral pattern. It may be something unreasonable, but that's something that's relevant to me.
Yeah. That energetic imprint is there for you with that, the concept of being branded.
So at that moment, immediately I can go, well, of course I feel that way. It just changed my whole outlook on what was going on there, from a very exciting thing to all of a sudden it's like and then all of a sudden it's okay, I can let that.
Yeah. It's like three emotions. Three emotions happening like so fast. Yeah. The excitement, the oh no, and then that compassion in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only through the Akashic Records that I've been able to come to
that ability
very quickly move through the stages. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't think there's been no questions. So, but I was thinking I should have shared it to your page.
Yeah.
We can still do that. Maybe.
To the heart and soul.
The heart and soul?
Yeah.
So, oh yes, so do you have an open web page? Or sorry, Facebook pages? Are they open to the public?
Yeah, there's there's the Heart and Soul Healing page on Facebook. I have my website is heartandsoulhealing.ca, and that's the best if you want to get a hold of me. That's you can go on there, and I have all my all the courses that I'm teaching. Well, it needs to be updated now, but a little bit. But all the ones that right now I'm because of COVID, it obviously was all online. So I teach through Learn It Live. And so if you go on there, there's all the courses on there that I have going. If you want to send me a message, you can send me a message through there, and it'll, it'll go to my inbox, and I can get it to that. If you leave a comment on something, it might take me a while to get in there, but
yeah.
I eventually do.
Yeah, we'll post your when this is done. I can edit it, and then right in the description, we'll post all of your.
Cool. Yeah,
your
that'd
ways
be
of
cool.
getting contacted.
And the same within there, if you're looking for a reading from me, it's actually a little blue button on the side that you can click on, book a reading.
Okay.
And you just click on that, it goes to my calendar, and
perfect.
you can do it that way.
Yeah, because I know your calendars are usually pretty full.
It gets pretty busy with, my personal life and my business
life.
and, putting in all kinds of courses, and I'm quite involved with the Linda House Center for Akashic Studies. So I do mentoring and stuff with through there. I was doing that, so that all kind of.
Are you interested in doing in-person classes anymore, or?
I would love to do. I love in-person classes. I love online is one thing, in person is a total different ball game. And I really do. And so if anybody wants an in-person class, get a hold of me, and I would certainly love to start to set one up. Of course, we need a few people to
have to have a guaranteed,
guaranteed
amount, because you're also coming in from Vermilion.
I'm coming in from Vermilion. And I was teaching in Vancouver, and all through Saskatchewan and Toronto. I went to Toronto, and so if I have to travel there, then we need I need enough to pay for the plane ticket and my hotel.
There has to. Expenses just need to be covered. That's just a polite thing.
But I have no problem setting up classes wherever. I'd love to. Now that the borders have opened up, maybe go abroad. But that'd be fun and exciting. But,
awesome.
Sure.
Awesome.
Any of the books, I'd recommend. Actually, Linda Howe, she just came out with a new book here on Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday. She just released a new book, and it's called The Heart of the Akashic Records Revealed.
Okay.
And she has 4 books, and she's kind of combined all 4 into the one book. With new concepts and stuff. So, I would, recommend anybody to read that. If you want to go into deeper on any of the subjects, then she has, the other books you can read as well.
Yes, and for the classes. And take the classes. So for the classes, you need the book. And
you need to read the book.
And you have the book for people when they register, or?
I have the books. They're all available on Amazon. So you really need to read the book to take the class, just because you get so much more out of it. It goes so much deeper, and you can go with they have the Kindle books, and they have the audio books, whatever.
And they're not hard to read. I've taken a few courses. The books are easy readers. It's not like it's going to take you a week to get through it. Just a couple hours, few hours really, and then you should be all right.
Depending on how fast you read, it takes me a little bit longer. But
yeah,
and Linda, she's a phenomenal writer.
Yes.
You know, so.
Yeah, it flows quite nicely, and then when we get into the course, it flows with the course, which is the best part, because then you're not lost going, but what this was in the book or this is in class and I don't understand it. That it's all together.
Yeah, and it's within the classes. For one thing, you won't come to the class if you weren't meant to be in the class. You're energetic, you're not going to be attracted to it. The Akashic Records is open to everybody. Yes. Everybody has a right to go into their Akashic Records. So for you to be able to access it, you have the ability to access. Everybody receives it differently, how they get the information, but that's okay. You know, there's no right or wrong way of doing it. The biggest thing, because the Akashic Records are connected in with the soul, then people feel that the information they're getting isn't connected to the Akashic Records, it's their own information. And it's more, of course, of course you know this, of course you have a feeling about this already because it's coming from within. It's not psychic, you're not hearing different.
Yeah.
Someone else's voice or some weird speaking thing.
Yeah, or a different energy. Yeah, like it's not a different energy, it's not it's internal, so it's your voice and your feelings and there's things that your soul already knows, even though if you're not conscious to it, because it's your soul story, like you're saying.
Yeah, and so that's the advantages of coming to the course. I can help you with whatever issues you have and really guide you through it.
Yeah.
I mean, all the information is in the book, but your understanding of it becomes so much more clear in the courses.
And just having that confirmation that yes, you're right, and what you're thinking is your message. It's that, and I know even for myself, it's like, but I'm not sure if that was it. And then you'd ask a couple of questions just for my own sake of clarity, and then it'd be like, oh yeah, I get it now. Now I get that, I understand. So to have that, just that guidance through it.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's amazing. It's amazing and there's all kinds of ways you can use the Akashic Records as well. I know one lady, she, my dear friend of mine, she uses it for connecting in with crystals, to get information from crystals.
Oh, nice.
And my gosh, the information she gets from a crystal is like, I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah.
I certainly don't get it that way, but she gets huge amounts of information and how they are obtainable. Someone else, they do meditations through the Akashic Records. And they go out, and another friend, she's phenomenal with receiving and being able to guide people into themselves and into that seeding. Someone else, they do, I know one of my students, she does phenomenal work with animal communication. Opening up the records of animals, the pets and stuff like that. And phenomenal, she does phenomenal work. It's amazing what she can do, to help your pets and stuff like that.
So that is great, actually. That you're making my brain work, because I'm hosting with some other people on an equine clinic, and it's basically energy based. Like, we're doing liberty work, so that's energy back and forth. But I realize that I have the ability to tell people about their life energy story connects and how it connects with their horse. So that was going to be part of mine.
Not only, you can open up you have a horse, so I can open up your records and ask you about, what's going on with your horse. I can also open up the records of the horse, horse, and find out, okay, how are you interacting with Loya? What is she doing to piss you off?
Exactly, right? So
and get the connection. What is the purpose of the home?
Yeah.
Real estate is another one. Phenomenal interest in, if you're really connected with, what is the purpose of your house?
Yes. I actually remember in one of the courses we did that.
Yeah.
So in the classes too, we get to do practicing on each other and on ourselves. So that's the high bonus of it. Because I remember doing the house once.
Yeah. And you open up, records of the houses. Yeah. So there's a whole line of things that you can open up, and we go through that in the courses. When we get into the more deep-seated courses on self-abandonment and stuff like that, I'll actually lead you in the Akashic Records, moving you through the different things and experiencing them.
So with something like that, so if we're going in for that healing, because I know for myself when I'm doing healing sessions with people, what ends up happening is they go blank. And what I mean by that is we're moving the energy, but then our nervous system, when it gets to be too sensitive, it will actually kind of like shut things down. And it's just natural. It's normal. It's natural. So what we do in the session is we give it that time to rest, and it needs to rest. And then when the person's ready to go back in, then we continue the work. But do you find that with the Akashic Records, or is it just because the records are open and it's their own thing that your client can't shut down if it gets to be too personal?
You'll never receive anything within the Akashic Records that you can't handle. For one thing. When I'm doing readings for other people, what it's like is we're shifting perspectives, we're shifting ideas, and it's almost like we within the Akashic Records we move into a new perspective of self-love. If you're having a problems with some kind of fear that you're having, and you can't see it, can't see the end result, and we move the new perspective. It gets anchored into place, and then you can grow into it.
Okay.
There's a story I tell about a reading that I did for this lady, and she had problems with, it was a relationship issue, and I gave her the exactly what I got in the Akashic Records, and through the whole reading she's going, no, that's not right. That's I did all that.
No association.
Yeah, no association. Nothing. And I went through the whole reading, and I'm feeling horrible because I feel like I really let her down.
Yeah.
And I really felt like in the depths of who I was that I really did. I gave her exactly what she needed, and we moved the energy. I hate the word energy, but we moved the perspective into where it needed to be.
The awareness.
And so then we closed the records after the hour and stuff, and I had told her, okay, in a couple of weeks, let me know how you feel. And maybe we can do more work or something like that. And I didn't hear for a couple of weeks, and then I messaged her, and she says, well, I haven't really had time to think about it, kind of sloughed me off. And then about a month later, I get this here message from her saying, I don't know what you did in that reading, but everything feels good.
Nice.
Everything, and it was. She needed that time to shift into that perspective. There wasn't that immediate movement to it.
Okay.
And so lots of time within the Akashic Records, it's very soft. It's very loving. It's not going to jar you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're not ready to move into it, it's going to move you into it whether you want to or not. But it's going to do it in a very gentle way that you can handle.
Yeah.
And it might be only just a smidget.
Yeah.
But that's all you need to do.
Yeah. It'll be just enough to make a change. Yeah.
And we're not sending energy, we're not taking energy away. If a warning about the Akashic Records is if anybody says they're going to do an Akashic Record and take these situations out of your life, out of your Akashic record. They're going to change your Akashic record. The Akashic records can't be changed.
No.
Once you live them, you can't change them. Same with, there's no cutting cords. You can't, if you had a bad relationship with your mother, you can't cut the cord and you're not going to be connected to them anymore. You're still connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's not dealing with the Akashic records. But what we can do is we can go in there, okay, well, how is this here connection with your mother? How was that beneficial to you? How did that help you to connect into your own self-love? How did that empower you?
Yeah.
And then we start to see and we start to recognize that it doesn't change the situation.
No.
She maybe beat you with, the frying pan every day.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't, we can't change that. That's always there.
But
your perspective of what
yeah
can be changed and how that has empowered you.
Yeah.
And you certainly never want to go back and put yourself into that situation again.
Exactly.
But you want to be able to move forward without carrying that burden with you. And that's what we do within the Akashic records.
Yes. Yeah. So I almost feel like I need to explain myself a little bit. So when I said earlier about about people going blank when I'm working with them, it's because I work within, and it's I know you know how I work.
Yeah.
It's just for everybody else. I work within the lymphatic nervous system itself within the body, and that's where I work and do the healings with. And again, we can never change what had happened. It's impossible. No. We can't take it back. So anybody that says they can take it back or that they can change it for you, well, change is different. We can change the way a person reacts to things, but we can't change the past. It's a sad reality.
Yesterday has already happened.
Yeah.
Today is the power. The point of power is right now.
Yes.
Right. Not yesterday and not tomorrow. Is at the moment, at this moment in time. If we can focus in on that point of power, then we can move. It's amazing the difference it can make.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Even as we're talking, I'm thinking I need to book a session with you because there's things that we could literally. Actually, this is a perfect example because there's things that I'm going over and over and over in my mind, and I can't quite get myself to I can't find what I'm looking for. I can't find that answer that I'm looking for. So this is probably where I will find the answer because I can't get it up here.
Yeah,
and looking in my surroundings, I know why I'm doing certain things in the present moment, but I don't know where it started in my past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm always looking at. I'm like, well, I know when I stopped doing this, but when did I start doing that? And that's where...
and why am I still holding on to it?
Yes, right?
Why was it such a good idea that I chose to bring it into this lifetime?
Yeah, right? and even still with that, so for me in the healings a lot of times it's like the easy answer is not the answer because the easy answer is the stuff that we already know. It's the stuff that we don't know. So I know my easy answers. And it's just but it still doesn't fit. It doesn't fit my situation. It's like the excuse for my situation, but it doesn't fit my situation, if that makes sense. So,
different perspectives. Yeah, that's always. It's a wonderful. I don't know. I love the Akashic records. They are so deep seated and so gentle and so loving. It's just amazing.
Yay. Wow, thank you for being here. We almost pushed our hour. Did it even feel like an hour?
Yeah, it went pretty fast, eh?
Yeah. Well, it's easy for time to fly when you're passionate about what you're talking about. And I think that's very, very apparent, your passion and your knowledge for the records and what they, how to access them and what they do for people and how to work with them. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, there's a whole art to it. It's Linda, she's been doing it. She's the leading authority in the Akashic records, and she actually her book was actually the first book out that that publicly taught people how to access the Akashic Records. And she's in them continuously.
Yes.
And still learning, and she's actually writing another book. She's got another book going already, and working on new courses to help people. Yeah, it's phenomenal. So, life is progressive. It's continuous and exciting, right?
Yes.
Exciting to find out, how can we move into a greater perspective of who we are.
Yes. Yeah. That's wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Greatly appreciate it. I know we got lots to talk about afterwards too, but but I greatly appreciate you being here with me today.
Sure. And and if anybody has any questions or would like to, get deeper than into the Akashic Records, by all means, send me an email or reach out to me a message of some kind, and I'll certainly. I love talking about them. So. Yeah.
Any questions you have, this is your guy. And you were sort of the leading instructor in Canada. What was your title? The leading instructor.
I'm the only, and there's a couple teachers, certified teachers, but as premier elite to teach all 5 courses and to have worked through all 5, I'm the only one in Canada.
Okay. So all of the courses, he teaches them all. Every course Linda's got, you're able to teach it.
I got them, and so and I've been taught to, personally by Linda. I work personally with her. So it's phenomenal. It's like, seems like a big responsibility, but it's a fun responsibility too.
It is, and I like the courses. They're fun. If you take one of Kevin's courses, then he's got Akashic shares every month as well. So it's an ongoing support system I have for people. Some people don't take advantage. Some, it's totally up to you. Really. Yeah, I know. There's times I see your email come in and I'm like, oh, I should do that this month, and then. It's just out of my scope for whatever reason. So. Yeah. Okay. Well, again, thank you, Kevin. This was fun. Yeah, I liked it. So, anyways, thank you to everybody who's watching here on Facebook and wherever else we have it posted. And again, if you want to get a hold of Kevin, we're going to have all his info listed out for you. And other than that, thank you for being here and have a great day.
Bye.